Shalom. Welcome everybody. Welcome back for another segment of Parsha Shavua with Levi Chazan. Thanks for being with us. This week's Parsha is being dedicated to Adlot Nishmat, Imi Morti, Golda Chaya, Bat Bluma. Her neshama should have an elevation. Parshat Ekev. The Parsha tells us of Moshe Rabbeinu telling the Jewish people that they're about to enter the good land of Eretz Yisrael, a land that's not lacking anything. Eretz Chita v'Sohora, the 7 species which are known to be embedded in the land of Eretz Yisrael. Not just Kedusha, but also the plentifulness of all the bounty of the land of Eretz Yisrael, which it could give off. Wonderful. And here Moshe Rabbeinu warns the Jewish people. Take heed, he tells us, that when you enter the land of Eretz Yisrael, you will encounter the 7 nations that live here. Don't be despaired. Don't fear them. Just as the Kadosh Baruch Hu was able to release you from bondage from Egypt, from the superpower at the time, Paro and the Egyptians, so too you will be able to overcome. And the Torah tells us that these are mighty nations that live here, fearsome. Kadosh Baruch Hu warns us not to be afraid of them. And Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, do not pity them when you come in. We know that they must be utterly destroyed. Yes, they have an option before the Jewish people come to remove themselves from the land. God bless them, far away from us. But once they stayed over here, they must be destroyed. And the reason is very simple. We should not learn from their evil traits, from their evil deeds. They are worship idols. They have horrible, horrible sins. And if they are left over here, we will learn from them, and it will not be good. And unfortunately, we know that that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. Which led eventually to our own exile from the land of Eretz Yisrael. The Or HaChayim HaKadosh, the holy Or HaChayim, points out, it says over here, do not pity them. Because somehow the Jewish people have a trait of mercy. And sometimes it's not in its proper place. Rabbi Kahana always used to teach us. Each trait is good in its individual place. There's a time for love. There is a time for peace. There is a time for war. And everything has to be known exactly when each concept must be applied. Unfortunately, today, even amongst the Torah learners, it's all one big salad. Because of the length of our exile, everything got mixed up. We don't know when to apply certain important concepts. The Torah is very specific and tells us when each one, and that's the authentic Jewish idea. That's going back to the roots, to be like David HaMelech, King David. When he would go out to battle, he would strengthen himself. And when he went to learn Torah, he would be able to endeavor into the depths of the learning of the Torah. That's the way it should be. Each trait is important in its own place. And here the Or HaChayim HaKadosh points out to us, do not have mercy on them in the place that you should really erupt them and take them out. We have the famous example in the Tanakh, which tells us about King Achav, king of Israel. Now, king of Israel in his day, King Achav, was subservient to Ben-Hadad, the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria had gathered his forces to come and fight against Achav. And the battle took place, and a great miracle took place for Achav, the king of Israel, and he was successful and was able to overcome the great army of Ben-Hadad. Ben-Hadad and his governors run away. They run away to the hills into a cave. And they're afraid for their lives, rightly so. And Achav runs after them. And the governors tell Achav, the governors tell Ben-Hadad, I've heard that the kings of Israel are merciful. Let's go out and maybe they'll have mercy on us. And when Achav hears the words of Ben-Hadad, he says, is that you, my brother? Is that you? Are you still here? And he embraces him. Incredible as it may be. His own enemy who came to kill him, he now embraces him. This is taking the trait of mercy and misusing it. And he sends Ben-Hadad, his enemy, away back to Assyria. And sure enough, a year passes and Ben-Hadad gathers his army again and comes back to do battle against Achav. You would think, he would be like, he saved my life. I should be indebted to him. No such thing. Not with the Umot Olam, not with the nations. Ben-Hadad comes back and battles again at Achav, and this time he kills Achav. He overcomes him and destroys him. Unbelievable as it is. Our rabbis teach us there's a place for mercy, but this is the mercy of fools, the mercy that you use for your enemies. Instead of going out and wiping them out, you use this trait over here of mercy and you let them stay. This is what the Or HaChaim is teaching us in our parsha, in Ekev. Do not have pity on them, so says the Torah. The Or HaChaim brings out that this is what's so important. Do not have mercy upon them. Do not let them be over here. Do not take pity upon them. One must know an enemy is an enemy. He's not a friend. And must act appropriately. In the end, those who have mercy on the enemies will be cruel to their own people. Unfortunately, we see that every day. I'm Levi Chazan for Yeshivat Rayon HaYehudi. Thanks for being with us in this parsha Shavua Ekev. And remember, Yeshivat Rayon HaYehudi, the authentic Jewish idea, the only yeshiva like it, unique. We need your continuous support that you've been giving us to continue to keep the yeshiva going. Very important. The only yeshiva that Rabbi Kana started. To keep it going, to publish his works. We need your support. Thanks for being there for us. I'm Levi Chazan. Until next time. Parsha Shavua.